Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith does a swift cabinet shuffle. The Alberta regulator approves Northback Holdings' coal exploration project in the Crow's Nest Pass, leaving those in opposition with concerns. Plus, Canadians could face a postal strike as early as next week.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thanks so much for joining us. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has shuffled her cabinet today, days after the spring sitting of the legislature wrapped up with the passing of the controversial referendum bill. New ministers were sworn in by Lieutenant Governor Salma Lakhani in Calgary this afternoon.
Adriana LaGrange, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Primary and Preventative Health Services for the province of Alberta, so help me God.
The health portfolio is seeing significant change. Adriana LaGrange goes from health minister to minister of primary and preventative health services. Former jobs minister Matt Jones becomes minister of hospital and surgical health services. And former Indigenous relations minister Rick Wilson is now the minister of mental health and addictions. Rajan Sawhney moves from advanced education to minister of Indigenous relations. Miles McDougall takes over advanced education. Dan Williams is the new municipal Affairs Minister, taking over from Rick McIver, who is the new Speaker of the Legislature. Joseph Scow goes from Government House Leader to Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration. And Andrew Boychenko is the new Minister of Tourism and Sports. Two other changes. Demetrios Nicolaides will be adding childcare to his portfolio and become the Minister of Education and Childcare. And Jason Nixon will also see his title change to the Minister of Assisted Living and Social Services to reflect his oversight of assisted living Alberta. Not surprisingly, the NDP are reacting to the shuffle, calling it nothing more than rearranging the deck chairs on a sinking ship. In a statement, leader Naheed Nenshi says this reorganization will do nothing to tackle affordability, healthcare, and public safety and education. He says Smith isn't leading a government. She's clinging to a scandal-ridden crew that's out of touch and out of ideas. The Alberta Energy Regulator has approved a controversial coal exploration project on the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains. Northback Holdings Corporation's project at Grassy Mountain was rejected in 2021 over environmental concerns, but was revived 2 years later. The regulator says it determined approving the project is in the public interest and it won't have negative effects on water quality or wildlife, which many at public hearings argue will happen. It notes that accepting the need for this exploration program does not constitute approval of a coal mine. Former Lethbridge Mayor Chris Spearman has been outspoken for many years about the approval of this project.
You know, we're disappointed but not surprised. This is 3 applications, okay? Principally a drilling application. So we actually received a copy of a report on the quality of the coal that was done 4 years ago. And that report is not very good. It says the coal is substandard and not really very marketable. So that would explain why Northback wants to do 19 more drilling holes to confirm the quality of the coal. In principle, we are opposed to this. We have the Alberta government's own science reports. Those reports say every time there's been a coal mine, there has been pollution. I know the city of Lethbridge supplies potable water using Old Man River water for its 111,000 residents and 10 other communities. So it's about 130,000 people minimal relying on the Old Man River for potable water, and there is no known technology to remove selenium, excess selenium, from river water.
In other news, rain is expected to offer some much-needed help today as crews battle wildfires in eastern Manitoba. The Reeve of rural municipality of Lac du Bonny says rain has been steady since this morning, and a section of one evacuated area reopened to residents Thursday night. Lauren Schinkel says crews worked hard to prevent dozens of homes from being swept up by a fire that has already destroyed at least 28 structures and killed 2 people. Roughly 20 more fires are burning across Manitoba, prompting the provincial government to close some provincial parks, including Nopaming Provincial Park, which is northeast of Lac du Bonny. As you can see in this photo, the park's welcome sign has been completely consumed by flames. BCN spoke with a Nopaming Park cottage owner whose property sits dangerously close to the flames.
We left the cottage on Sunday, and there was no sign of that fire whatsoever. By Monday, there was some warnings that people need to, it's highly recommended that they leave the area because there is a fire in Nopaming Park. And by the Tuesday morning, there was the evacuation notice in place. So the fire had rapidly, the direction of the fire was, it just happened so quickly. We're all we're heartbroken. We're, nervous about the fires, obviously, just sort of scared and we feel very helpless because, we're sitting here and this is happening and we feel like we can't do anything about it.
In other news, Canadians could be facing a postal strike as early as next week. After postal workers were ordered back to work last December, the federal government gave them until May 22nd to reach a new deal. And if one couldn't be reached, workers could return to the picket lines. Canada Post paused negotiations earlier this week. The union was scheduled to meet with Jobs Minister Patty Hadu today. Small businesses and shipping firms are preparing for a disruption that could strain supply chains and freeze millions of parcels as well as billions of dollars in sales. And while we are talking about the post office, the Industrial Inquiry Commission has released its report on the labor dispute at Canada Post. The commission is recommending phasing out daily door-to-door letter mail delivery for individual addresses, while daily delivery to businesses should be maintained. The federal government asked for the inquiry after CUPW members were ordered back to work last year. The commission is also recommending that the moratoriums on rural post office closures and community mailbox conversions be lifted. Commissioner Warren Kaplan says his recommendations are based on his conclusion that there is a way to preserve Canada Post as a vital national institution, but he also says Canada Post is facing an existential crisis and is effectively insolvent. And without thoughtful, measured, staged, but immediate changes, its fiscal situation will continue to deteriorate. As we reported earlier this week, Prime Minister Mark Carney's government will not table a budget when Parliament returns in the coming weeks, which begs the question how the government can still function when it won't be presenting a budget this spring. Well, Canadian Press reporter David Baxter explains.
When Budget Day comes, a lot of focus is put on the debt, deficit, and government plans for the next fiscal year. One part that's more routine, but no less important, are spending plans to keep a host of government departments and programs up and running. This includes central agencies like the Defence Department and Canada Border Services Agency, plus Crown corporations like Canada Post and Via Rail. Without authorization from Parliament, this money doesn't flow. The fiscal year started on April 1st, but Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne said that the government won't table a full fiscal plan until the fall economic update. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau prorogued Parliament back in January, so MPs have not been around to approve government spending. So, how has the government continued running without a US-style shutdown? Cabinet's approved 2 special warrants worth a combined $73 billion to keep the government up and running until June 29th. Cabinet only has this power when the House isn't sitting. However, with MPs returning to Ottawa on May 26th, any future spending needs parliamentary approval. This is why former Parliamentary Budget Officer Kevin Page says he expects the government to table a spending bill before the summer break. Page says he doesn't expect MPs to be forced to vote on spending without at least some kind of economic update from the government. While Champagne said the government is working towards that fall economic statement, Page said he'd be surprised if the government didn't release some kind of debt and deficit projection before MPs are required to vote on continued spending. David Baxter, The Canadian Press.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet says the party plans to launch a legal challenge after losing the federal riding of Terrebonne by a single vote. A recount gave the seat back to the Liberals in the Montreal area riding, and Elections Canada says the result is final despite a misprint that led to one special ballot being returned to sender.
The judge has established that the Bloc Québécois would have lost the riding by one vote. The vote appeared in the hands of a citizen in a very clear fashion, and in that situation, the law requires the election to be done all over again in the riding of Terrebonne. This is what we expect. But since I don't know what's the name in English of Election Canada, but since they cannot by themselves ask for the election to be repeated, we have to bring this situation in front of a judge in a court in order to do the election all over again.
An Ontario judge has dismissed the jury in the sexual assault trial of 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team. The decision was made after one of the jurors submitted a note to the judge saying some panel members felt defense lawyers for one of the accused were making fun of them. The trial in London will now continue with a judge alone, also known as a bench trial, rather than starting over with a new jury. Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Alex Formenton, Dylan Dubé and Callan Foote have pleaded not guilty to sexual assault. Blaine Higgin has announced he will seek re-election as a candidate for the mayor of Lethbridge in the upcoming October 2025 municipal election. Higgin says he's committed to continuing to provide consistent, results-oriented leadership for Lethbridge through a commitment to fiscal responsibility, health and safety, and sustainability. Higgin was first elected to council in 2013 and became mayor in 2021. Councillor Klaus van der Veen has resigned as his position on Lethbridge County Council. He's the councillor for Division 6, which includes the hamlet of Shaughnessy. Van der Veen is moving out of the division, and under the Alberta Municipal Government Act, he will no longer be able to serve there. In a statement, Van der Veen says, quote, "It has been a true privilege to serve the residents of Lethbridge County since 2017. I am grateful for the chance to connect with and collaborate alongside so many outstanding individuals," end quote. With municipal elections coming up in October, a by-election will not be held for the vacancy. This week is National Nurses Week. The University of Lethbridge recognizes the important work these healthcare professionals do. The U of L's Health Simulation Center allows students to practice their nursing skills with mannequins that respond as a patient would. This year, the theme for National Nurses Week is the power of nurses to transform health, which highlights the evolution of this medical profession with technological advances. Health Simulation Center coordinator Lisa Johnson explains more about nursing preparation at the university.
When they get out practicing on those clinical units, they can take what they've learned in simulation to provide safe, competent patient care. We have our skills lab where students can come in and learn new skills that they're going to be using in the clinical setting. And then we have our high fidelity mannequin, our simulation portion of the program as well. So students are given the opportunity to spend 2 days as part of that clinical course in simulation, where we run them through 2 different scenarios. So the first scenario is diabetic ketoacidosis on day 1, and then on day 2, we run them through a heart failure scenario, and that heart failure scenario progresses to cardiac arrest. So students have the opportunity to work through those scenarios. So it gives them an idea of kind of what to expect in the clinical setting before they actually have to experience that independently.
The Simulation Center features acute care lab spaces, simulation, home care, client assessment, and simulation debriefing rooms. That mannequin looked freakishly real. In sports, once again, the Toronto Maple Leafs are facing elimination from the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. They take on the Florida Panthers in Game 6 of their best of 7. At one point, the Leafs were up 2-0 in the series. They've lost 3 straight, including an embarrassing 6-1 loss on Wednesday. Coach Craig Berube will keep star forwards Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner together on Toronto's top line despite the duo's offensive struggles against tight-checking Florida. Matthews has yet to score in the series, while Marner scored the game winner in Game 2, but hasn't scored in those 3 straight losses. Well, the 2025 Canadian College Baseball World Series is being hosted this week in Lethbridge. From Thursday through until May the 18th, the collegiate baseball teams from across Western Canada are battling at the Spitz Stadium. Josh Bergman, pitching coach with Prairie Baseball Academy, says the University of Calgary Dinos, Edmonton Collegiate Hawks, and Okanagan College Coyotes from BC are among the 8 teams which are participating.
The CCBC World Series tournament going on here. So we got all the 8 teams from our conference playing here and competing for our championship for our league. So we got 8 teams here in the city, 5 from British Columbia and 3 from here in Alberta. So we've got our team here with Prairie Baseball Academy, which we've been with our group since the beginning of September, and we competed through the fall and then throughout the winter, and then we had our spring schedule, and then obviously into our conference schedule here in the spring with our team, and had a really successful spring and had a tough loss last night, but we're looking to hopefully bounce back here tonight and get back in the win column. Obviously today the weather's a little better. Last year the weather wasn't great. The competition in the league has gone up every single year. There's a lot of continuity within the league, and it's very competitive, so it creates for a really fun weekend of baseball for everybody.
The Canadian College World Series Championship game will be played Sunday at 4 o'clock at Spitz Stadium. Well, summer is just around the corner when we start talking about the biggest outdoor show on earth. And this year's Calgary Stampede will be offering up 50 new items in July with a heaping of pickle flavors and something for those with a cast iron stomach. Keep an eye out for the Fruity Pebble Korean hot dogs, Spam Bao buns, Mopan worm poutine, and pork tongue. Sounds disgusting.
So far the reaction's been pretty good. Skittle Dog has been getting most of the attention today, so people are really excited about that. So I ordered some freeze-dried Skittles, so no gel pockets, got the flavor of the Skittle infused right into the dog, and then we just topped it up with the regular dogs. My biggest inspiration was just, have something fun for the kids when they're in line with their parents, that they're not just getting a regular hot dog, something a little bit more fun, right?
It kind of tastes like ham. It's got a great texture. It's really soft. As long as you don't think about it, it's really good. Tongue is maybe not exactly what I thought I'd be eating today, but it's good. I'm surprised. I'm not going to take another bite, but it's good.
It's a little spin on what we usually do. We just changed the filling this year. So it's kind of like a taste of Hawaii, Spam, pineapple, and garlic shrimp. Whenever we go to Hawaii, we always eat this stuff, and our kids are obsessed with Spam.
It's true. I used to live in the Pacific Islands, and Spam is huge over there. But some of those items I'm not so sure about. I think I'll be passing on that pork tongue. Looking at our forecast, it was a nice way to start our long weekend, but we could see a bit of rain tonight and more of that again on Sunday. I will be right back with your weather report. Well, it would not be a long weekend in May without a little bit of rain. So here it is beginning this evening already. I already saw some showers out there late this afternoon. So showers Friday evening. As we get into Saturday, though, more sunshine, high of 18 degrees. And then just to mess up our camping plans, more rain expected on Sunday, right smack dab in the middle of that long weekend, high of 18 degrees, though. And then sitting steady at 18 as we get into holiday Monday, which is Victoria Day, with plenty of sunshine that day. That's the day day we got to pack up our equipment and come on home. Of course, that's always the nicest day, it seems. Tuesday, back to sunshine, high of 17, and then back to 18 on Wednesday with a mix of sun and cloud. Thursday, that's when we could see those rain showers return again in that 7-day forecast. High of 17 there on Thursday. So average high for this time of year, 19. Average low, 5 degrees. 32 was our record high on this day back in 1988 and in 1942. -4 was the record low. 5:45, that's when the sun rose this morning. Sunset this evening right at 9:11 p.m. So we're seeing 15 hours, 26 hours of, 15 hours, 26 minutes of daylight, which is actually calculates to 4 minutes longer than we saw yesterday. So days are definitely getting longer. Victoria, chance of showers, high 14. Same for Vancouver, high 14. Could also see a risk of a thunderstorm there. Showers expected tomorrow in Edmonton with a high of 17. And Calgary could see afternoon showers with a risk of a thunderstorm as well. High 15 degrees there in Calgary. Looking to the prairies where we've seen so many wildfires. Looking at mainly clear skies, but hazy conditions in Saskatoon, high of 16 degrees, 17 for the high in Regina. Also seeing some clear skies, 12 degrees in Regina, 7 degrees in Winnipeg. That is, Winnipeg could see some partly cloudy skies. So finally, they're not under so much smoke like they have been the past few days. I think that rain really helped clear things up the past, that would have been Thursday that they saw so much rain there. 20 degrees for the high expected in Toronto, seeing some showers there. Ottawa, a 22, expecting some thunderstorms. Same thing, Montreal expecting some thunderstorms with some showers there. High of 23 degrees. Looking into Atlantic Canada, the Maritimes, Fredericton, high of 18 degrees tomorrow. Showers expected. We could see some fog patches also along the coast. Halifax sitting at 14 degrees. Cooler along the coast, more like 10 with some showers expected there. 18 for the high in Charlottetown and a high of 12 degrees in St. John's with clear skies there. So there you have it. That is your forecast. A fuel market watcher says the May long weekend is when gas prices tend to plateau for the summer driving season. But Roger McKnight with Enpro International says what consumers see at the pump now might be what they get for the warmer months. McKnight says U.S. tariffs and geopolitical issues may jolt the market. He also says the effects of the federal consumer carbon levies demise seem to be holding after Prime Minister Mark Carney did away with the charge last month. Canadian Tire CEO Greg Hicks says the fall of Hudson's Bay is disheartening, but some things are just meant to stay Canadian. His company is set to pay $30 million to acquire Hudson's Bay's intellectual property, including its brands and iconic multicolored stripes. CEO Liz Rodbell says HBC is grateful its brand has found a home with another heritage Canadian retailer. The sale still requires court approval and is expected to close this summer. Modular housing is becoming more popular in Canada, and experts say it could play a significant role in addressing the shortage of affordable and supportive housing. A new development in Ossington Avenue in Toronto is one of several projects in Ontario that is trying to take advantage of factory-made homes.
This is a small apartment. It's probably around 240 square feet. Which is small for many people, but I think what you have to understand is that it has a door that closes, it has its own washroom that people can use in dignity, and it has its own kitchen so people can purchase and prepare their own food. So what it offers is a dignified way to live that is a vast improvement on living in a tent or on a shelter floor or under a bridge. Time is definitely money when it comes to construction. With each month that passes, you can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the cost of a project. So to the extent that modular speeds up the planning process and the construction process, it's a win. And it also minimizes the impact of construction on the neighborhood around, which is also a win.
Now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 74 points on the day to finish at 25,971. The Dow is up 331 to 42,654. The S&P 500 was up 41 to 5,958, and the Nasdaq was up 98 points to 19,211. West Texas Intermediate oil was up 85 cents to 62.47 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 3 cents to 3.32 US. Gold was down 41 to 31.96 US an ounce. And silver was down 36 cents to 32.27 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $8.74 per bushel. Barley is at $6.81. Canola is at $16.09. And corn is at $7.82 per bushel. Live cattle June contract was up $1.05 to $212.23. Feeder cattle were up 68 cents to $296.85. And lean hogs June contract was down 38 cents to 132 cents. The Canadian dollar was down slightly over the past 24 hours and currently sits at 71.60 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has shuffled her cabinet, overhauling several government ministries and creating 2 new health services portfolios. Former Health Minister Adriana LaGrange has been sworn in as Minister of Primary and Preventative Health Services, while former Jobs Minister Matt Jones is in charge of Hospital and Surgical Health Services. Previous Indigenous Relations Minister Rick Wilson is now Minister of Mental Health and Addiction. Scams cost Canadians millions of dollars every year. One of the top scams is employment fraud. Odetta Dorofty with the Southern Alberta and East Kootenay branch of the Better Business Bureau will tell us how we can protect ourselves from various types of frauds. That is coming up next. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our interviews and stories.
Every year, Canadians lose millions of dollars to scammers. Why and how does this happen, and what can we do to avoid getting caught in a scam? Joining me now to talk about this is Odetta Dorofty. She's the Manager of Community Outreach and Education with the Alberta and East Kootenay branch of the Better Business Bureau. Good to have you with us, Odetta.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So first of all, can you explain to our viewers what the BBB is all about, and how would you typically be of assistance to a Lethbridge business person, for example?
Yeah, so the Better Business Bureau is a nonprofit organization who strives to create trust between consumers and businesses. We've been serving Alberta, including the Lethbridge area, for over 70 years. We have a website, bbb.org, where we provide with business listings for free for consumers to check them out. So we invite you to visit our website and find a reputable and trustworthy business there.
And every year, the Better Business Bureau of Canada comes out with a scam tracker risk report and a top 10 list of fraudulent scams that are ripping off Canadians. Can you explain the criteria used to rank the risk index?
Yeah, so the Better Business Bureau, as you mentioned, we have this amazing risk report. It's called the Scam Tracker Risk Index Report, which we've been publishing every year since 2016. And we receive a number of reports each year. Last year, in 2024, we received more than 81,000 reports. And so we use that data to analyze, to look at what are the most common scams that are being perpetrated, who is more at risk. And we also look at the financial and non-financial losses as well. So this is a tri-dimensional process. Then we look at the exposure, we look at the susceptibility, and we look at the losses. And then we learn from this, and then we can further educate consumers and businesses on some of the red flags and how to prevent from falling a victim to them.
Cryptocurrency and investment scams were at the top of the list. So what makes these so attractive, and what do we need to be on the lookout for?
So the adage, don't invest something that you can't afford to lose, it applies here. But what we are really talking about here is investment in general and using cryptocurrency as a form of investment in particular, inherently is high risk. So we are talking about, though, criminal professional crime organizations who will make a connection with you via one of the social media platforms, be it a dating website or an investment forum, and they will offer you an opportunity. So they're going to be in connection with you. They're going to work on gaining your trust. And once the trust is established, they're going to come up with the amazing investment opportunity that they want you to be a part of. And it usually starts low. So you are asked to invest very small amount of money. They may even show you a website where you can track that money. And then so you are giving them that trust and you continuing to invest more and more. And at a point when you are no longer comfortable with this investment and you want to put a stop to it, but then you are seeing yourself in a situation when they're not letting you. They come up with excuses for why you cannot take your return out of this investment. They may say things such as you need to pay other fees and taxes on top of that. And for whatever scenario they have, the idea is, the bottom line is, you are trapped in that. But we encourage everyone that at any point in time, when you are seeing the red flags of an investment scam, don't be afraid to move back. So to stop, disengage, stop connections, stop communications, and go reach out to your financial institution, to your bank, go to your local police, and talk with someone with your family or your friends, with your network. Talk about it, as you are not alone. This happens more often than we realize.
Now, employment scams were number 2 on the list. Can you explain how that one works?
Well, employment scam is definitely second most riskiest scam in Canada for the second year in a row. And so the way this works, there's a few different variables, but the most common scenario is we are seeing in our reports is that the scammer, the fraudster, will set up a fake website where they are either posing job openings, or they will just connect with you via social media messaging, or they'll send you a text message and they'll say they have this great offer for you. Or they may say they found your resume on one of the job boards. And then so from there, really, things start to move really quickly. They may jump ahead and send you an offer that just looks too good to be true, with all the attractive deals, high salary, work from home, flexible hours. So they're very attractive. And they may send you, they'll say, there's a link for you to apply. This is the only way we accept applications, through this link. So what they're really looking for is your information. They want your legal name. They want your date of birth. They want your SIN number. So if we think about it, employment scams can be or can have ties to identity theft type scams. So it's very important to stop and think, research the company, make sure you are dealing with a legitimate company, make sure the posting exists, check out their social media pages, look up reviews on the company, on the position as well, to compare everything. We just need to always be cautious.
And what about romance or relationship scams? What are some warning signs that we should be aware of?
Well, the romance or the relationship type of scam really has close ties to the investment or the cryptocurrency type of scams. And it does happen very similar to the investment scam. So the same scenario, perhaps you're dating on a website, on a public website, and then there's somebody who shows up, they're presenting themselves as the best fit, or they have all the qualities, they match with what you are looking for within your profile. And then they really, they move on quickly. So, but again, they want to gain your trust. They may say that they love you a little too soon. And then they are working on that process of gaining fully your attention and your trust. It may take a few days or weeks or months until they come up with an investment opportunity. So you need to look out at red flags, such as the relationship moves on too fast, they want to move in with you really, really soon. And then they bring in money into discussion. They're going to present you pictures of their luxurious life, their luxurious vehicles and homes and vacation plans. So the all looks too good to be true scenario applies here.
And we have a fairly significant senior population in the Lethbridge area. Are seniors at a higher risk of scams, and what age groups are more susceptible?
Well, all age groups, unfortunately, can be a target of a scam. To say that only seniors, that's simply not true. As we've discussed employment scams just earlier, that really targets those aged 18 to 44. So, but what we are commonly seeing for seniors is the grandparent scam and the bank imposter scam.
And then on the flip side of risks for seniors is the risk to our youth. Apparently, scammers are targeting younger people as well. What does the younger generation need to be looking out for?
So, younger generation, often we hear that they think they can be smarter than the scammers, they can outsmart the scammers. So we say information is power. That's a dangerous notion to play around, to say that we can outsmart the scammers. So information is power, education is crucial. We at the Better Business Bureau, we offer free presentations, free workshops for everyone in our serving area, including the youth. And Fraud Prevention Month, March is Fraud Prevention Month. The Better Business Bureau, we partnered up with other fraud prevention partners to educate and to spread the awareness and the fraud prevention tips to help everyone to prevent them from falling a victim to a scam.
And now we have a federal election just around the corner. Are election scams a thing, like where parties are, or people pretending to be from a certain political party are asking for donations?
That can happen, absolutely. We are seeing some of the charity scams as well, some of the donations. Anyone can pretend to be anyone. So we need to be on the lookout. And the best thing to do really in any scenario is do your research all the time. Use the internet, come on bbb.org, see what information we have on the individual, on a company to make an informed decision.
Online purchases continue to be a risk. How are people getting caught online, and what are the no-nos to watch out for?
So if you are planning to purchase online, just make sure that, again, then you are looking up that company. Is the company legitimate? Is the website secure? Look for the HTTPS in the URL. And then view the products that company is selling. Do a Google reverse image search. Make sure that the website that product doesn't come up in any other websites. If they do, then potentially it could be a stock picture so that the products don't even exist. And if you can plan on using credit cards, if there's any issues with it down the road, then you can dispute with your financial institution. And again, do your research on the company, on the products, read reviews, ask for references.
And advance fee loans is another common scam. How does this typically get presented?
Well, that would be, it's targeting those who are already in a financial need. So if you are looking for a loan from a traditional bank and for whatever reason that is not accessible to you, then you have the option to look for alternative options, and you're looking at loan companies. And so when the loan company comes to you and says, we are offering you this loan, quick offer, we guaranteed, we are don't even look in or don't even doing a credit check, we are just giving you this money. However, we need money to be paid up front for the loan to be released. So that is the advance fee loan. So they are asking money from you before they give you the money. That's illegal, and that's the risk, and that's the scam. So loan companies, legitimate and trustworthy loan companies, will never ask you to pay money up front.
Now, tax scams have been going around for a while. What is it about them that try to convince people that these people are actually with Canada Revenue Agency?
Yes, so the tax type of scam, the CRA type of scam, we call them the authority scam. What they do, especially during the tax season, is they're going to call us or text messages, and they'll say they're representing the government. And then they immediately say that there's, they're using the threat or the reward, the stick or the carrot. So they're going to say there's some issues, you haven't filed your taxes, you owe money to the government. If you're not paying it immediately, you're in big trouble. They're going to put you in jail. So really, we always have to verify any of this kind of information directly with the government. Never trust our caller ID, never trust somebody who's threatening us over the phone. And governments will never engage with us in a phone conversation to threaten us to pay the money that we owe them. And if not, then they're going to put us in jail.
So because the scam has been going on for a while, is it still a very common one, or have people already caught on that this is not legitimate? Like, I mean, I think the big red flag is when you have to pay your taxes with Walmart or Amazon gift cards.
Exactly. Unfortunately, this is still continuing to occur, and we help those who are new to Canada, new Canadians, to understand that that's not how things work. That's not how a government operates, and that, as you said, governments will never ask us to pay if we owe anything to them. Will never ask us to pay via gift cards, via Amazon or iTunes cards. It always has to go through the bank, through a means of transaction that can be traceable.
Any final reminders for our viewers on how to sniff out a scam? And tell us about how the BBB website can be of help as well.
Yeah, so definitely I will just end up saying that a healthy skepticism is always good. It comes handy. So don't believe everything that you see or read. The too good to be true. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. This is an old tip in the books, but it still applies. And then always be careful and cautious whenever you are sensing that the urgency. When there is a sense of urgency, someone is pressuring you to do something, to act quickly, that's always a red flag. And yes, please visit our website, bbb.org. We have many free services for consumers. You can visit our scam tracker that can be found on bbb.org/scam tracker. And you can view our most recent scam tracker risk report also on our website.
Odetta Durofte is the Manager of Community Outreach and Education with the Alberta and East Kootenay branch of the Better Business Bureau. Odetta, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I think we've all heard of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters organizations and what kind of an impact that they're having on the younger generation. So joining us to chat more about this is Jen Visser. She is the Executive Director of Lethbridge Big Brothers Big Sisters. Jen, welcome. Great to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long has the organization been around here in Lethbridge? I think by now everyone knows what Big Brothers Big Sisters is, but maybe just talk about it and how long you guys have been around here in town.
Absolutely. So we've been in Lethbridge since 1973, and the building that we're in, we've been in since 1989, the little Victorian-style house on 6th Ave and 7th Street.
Yeah. And have there been a lot of changes over the years as to how things are done?
Yes and no. So we still offer programs that are the same from the 1973 start, but we've adapted other programs to serve different needs of children and our community.
Mm-hmm. In a nutshell, obviously, Big Brothers Big Sisters is about being a role model, right? Having a mentoring relationship with a big brother or a big sister, and then a child or a teen. So as you call them, bigs and littles, right? So what ages of kids are we talking about here?
So we accept children 6 to 16. We offer 5 different mentoring programs. So we have our community-based one that everybody knows about, where you take a child out in the community for 2 to 3 hours a week. Then we have a school-based program where a volunteer goes to a school for an hour a week. Then we have a teen mentoring program where high school students get to mentor kids. And then we have 2 programs called Game On and Go Girls, which is group mentoring, where we have, it's not a one-on-one relationship, it's a group of children matched to 2 to 3, sometimes 4 volunteers at a school setting.
That's interesting. Is there any one particular program that kind of sees more results, or does it really just depend on the kids? Some kids respond better one-on-one, or some better in a group with another peer there.
Yeah, we always look at it from a perspective that every child could use another supporting person in their life. And so, since the time I've been with the organization, which has been 15 years, I've seen our programs adapt and grow, and also the needs of kids change in that time, seeing lots of kids with, lots of low self-esteem or just challenges getting along with other kids. Whereas maybe historically we saw children that were coming mainly from a single parent home, which we still serve those kids, but we're really growing to serve any child in our community and surrounding areas who could benefit from having a big brother or big sister.
Yeah. So what children specifically qualify to become a little? How does that process work? How can a parent enroll? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. The number one thing is they want to be in the program. So that's our biggest thing is you want to be part of a Big Brother, Big Sister program. Different ways kids are identified could be through a parent seeing that maybe their child just doesn't have somebody in their corner, could be an absentee or a lack of relationships in their life. And also we could see interventions through social services and things like that. But the number one is a school identifying the need of that child, because that's where the number one of our kids come from is schools. And our vast of our programs are actually facilitated in schools.
Oh, interesting. So does the school have to get parental consent to
They
do all of this?
yeah.
Yes.
So we have lots of paperwork, lots of forms, because we want to ensure every relationship we are creating is happy, safe, and successful.
Okay, so I can kind of envision the school saying to the parent, listen, I think this child would really benefit from being a little brother or sister. That kind of is how the conversation goes?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And then they sign, and then we start going into the school. And it, depending on the program, some are longer than others. We have sessions that are 7, and then we have ones that last the entire school year. And then we have some relationships that have been together for 10 years. It's every relationship is different. There isn't a specific way, because we're dealing with people and you can't just put people into boxes. It has to be based on need and relationship.
Yeah. So with that said, how do you go about matching up a big brother or a big sister with a child or teen?
It's all based about compatibility. So we do lots of screening, lots of interviewing, and lots of questions about things that the child is looking for in a mentor, that the parent is looking for. And then same with the volunteer, when they're accepted, that they're paired to a child that's going to be that they're going to have that positive relationship. We have trained staff who make those relationships. So they have a lot of training that they go through, and lots of formalities on our side that are kind of behind closed doors that people don't really see, to make sure that those relationships are a positive influence.
Mm-hmm. So how many visits per week are we talking about here, and how long would a visit last?
All of our programs are once a week that they would see each other. Okay. Some 7 times, some every single week, some an hour to 2.5 hours, depending on the program. When we get a volunteer to sign up with us, they have choice, because we want to make sure that volunteers in our community because everybody's time is very valuable, and we want to make sure that they're able to commit to that time. So we're very upfront saying, if you want to be in this program, it's 1 to 2 hours a week for a year. If you want to be in this program, it's an hour a week for the school year. And if you want to be in this program, it's 7 sessions for an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay. Can you give us a sample of what kinds of activities would take place on a visit?
Yeah, our community-based program, they can go bowling, they can go swimming, they could go anywhere out in the community to spend that time together. And even our office is open if they want to come spend time there during our hours. And then at the school program, it's not academic. So this is about self-regulation, about positive reinforcement. And so some of our programs actually come with a manual that you have 7 sessions, and each one has a content of what you're going to do that day. So could be bullying, could be breathing exercises, it could be about healthy living and active lifestyle.
All right. Okay. So like kind of little discussion topics there to sort of go over. Interesting. Okay. How many kids are currently participating in the programs? I know you were saying those numbers seem to be going up every year, don't they?
We see an increase, and since So 2019, we served about 600 kids. And then we had a little bit of dip in 2020 because you couldn't have those face-to-face relationships.
Right.
And then we saw an increase. In 2024, we served 1,473 kids
Wow.
in active mentoring relationships.
And that was up from 600 something in 2019.
In 2019.
That
From
is
from
incredible.
2023 to 2024, we saw a 12% increase.
Oh my goodness. What does that tell you?
The need is high and the volunteers are low. It's what we're really seeing right now.
Yeah. Is there a wait list for more big brothers and sisters?
We carry 2 wait lists, one for our community-based mentoring program and for our in-school mentoring program. And there's anywhere from 40 to 70 kids waiting at a time.
And that's because, like you said, there aren't enough bigs, right?
Yeah.
We need
And
more
we've
volunteers.
always had a wait list too.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any stories of how this has impacted a child?
Definitely. We've seen, I mean, especially with the time that I've been there, I've seen many kids walk through the door at 6 years old and be paired with a mentor, and now they're 17. And having that person in their life, we've seen kids successfully go through university. And, you know, you can see the average age of our kids is 10 that start to want to participate in our programs. And if you can foresee, because it's prevention, right? Not intervention. This is before something, you know, might have happened, that we can see if we can lead a child down a positive path, they're going to make right choices in life. And we actually have lots of studies that go into it, that for every dollar that's donated to Big Brothers Big Sisters, there's an $18 return on that in social investment in our community. So kids in our program grow up to give back to their communities, participate in community, and just go on to live a really positive, fulfilling life.
Wow, that's amazing. What kind of feedback do you get from the mentors? How are they impacted?
The mentors get just as much out of the relationship as the kids do.
Sure.
We're very upfront when they join, and that's why we take so much time in creating those relationships to make sure that they're going to last, that they're going to be successful. And we do lots of reviews. Like, you don't just get matched and we don't hear from you. You're connected to the organization for a continuation. And so our caseworkers are constantly working with those mentors. And then we have lots of different events in the community that they can do, hurricanes games, and we get tickets to different things, or we will put on, like, we'll do pumpkin carving or baking or something like that out of the building.
Yeah, I think it takes a special person to be a big.
Definitely.
It's a huge time commitment, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, we value our mentors so much, and we could not do what we do without them.
Oh, you also have a big couple mentoring program. What's that all about?
We do. So this program is really great. I wish we could get more couples to sign up for it, but you have to be in a relationship for at least a year, and you're matched with a child. And normally the kids in that program come from a background of maybe not seeing a healthy, stable relationship. And so being able to put a child in a relationship where they see a loving, caring couple is such a positive reinforcement to them. And I've seen the matches we make in that program always last a really long time, and they're really successful. And the little becomes part of their family.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. In the beginning there, you mentioned you also have a Go Girls mentoring program. So what does that focus on? Obviously girls. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we have a girls program and a boys program, and we do co-ed too. The girls program is all about self-regulation. So if we have kiddos who come to us and they just don't have the ability, if they have a bad day, how to cope with that. And the average age of kids in that program is about 12 years old. So being a 12-year-old girl is not an easy time in life. And they're paired to a female mentor, and that's in a group. So they're put with a group of their peers. They set up 7 times, and in those sessions they get question boxes. So at the end of every session they can ask any question that they want. And the objective of that program is, when they've gone through it, if they have a day that's not successful for themselves, they can write in a journal, breathing exercise. We've provided them with ability to find other people to talk to, a parent, a sibling, or a mentor, or somebody at their school, and that they can cope better with the challenges that they face in life.
And then on the flip side, of course, you have a boys program called Game On, right?
Yeah, Game On, they're both very similar. Game On, we talk a lot about healthy living and active lifestyle. Get off the couch and get your body moving is a big piece to that one.
Yeah, you must have some stats on how a relationship like this would affect a child's mental health or their grades or relationships, behavior. You must
We
see it all.
do.
Yeah.
Big Brothers Big Sisters has done a great job across Canada in doing a lot of research into our programs. We wouldn't be here for as long as we have if we didn't have that background to say, look at the positive influence we have on children and on our community. Because if we have happy, safe kids, they're going to make better choices and they're going to grow up and continuate that cycle that we need in our community to make it a good place to live.
So how does someone go about becoming a volunteer or a big brother or big sister? How would somebody do that?
If somebody's interested in becoming a volunteer with us, I would encourage them to go to our website, which is bebig.ca. All of the information about our programs is on there. You also could call the office at 403-328-9355, and you could speak to one of our amazing staff who could walk you through the process. The other thing is you can email us at info.leth@bigbrothersbigsisters.ca.
Sounds wonderful. Jen, thanks so much for being with us today and for sharing all this information with us and about the fundraiser too. So appreciate having you on today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Jen Visser is the Executive Director of Lethbridge Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.